metrics, the indicators. At this time is really not enough to go into that. And I think if we can broadly define some of the broad criteria, then we need another session to look at it more completely, whether it is a broad group like this or whether the actual committee should do that. I think it's something that really should be gone into in much greater detail. I'm going to ask Dr. Mehta to make some remarks.
Thank you, Chair. Before I address the issue of criteria to be used, I want to preface my comments by reverting back to the issue of price for what, because we are trying to meander through a difficult terrain to create a special niche. I think somewhere I see there is confusion between a prize and an award. The prize is a recognition. The prize is an inspiration. An award is an enabler. And an award can also be given for potential. I think we should know what we really want to do. Look, for example, the Gates Foundation awards are for addressing major challenges in human health. And they are given to people with a lot of potential, a lot of ideas. That's a completely different arena, and the mechanisms that have to be put in place have to be very different. My understanding is that we are dealing with a price. And if we are dealing with a price, then of course we have to look at it in a very different way. Now, coming to the criteria, my suggestion will be that rather than talking about much used and much abused terminologies like interdisciplinarity and transdisciplinarity, I would like to put it differently. The prize should be given for contributions that preserve and promote the holistic nature of knowledge, which transcend all boundaries. And that would be a much better way to look than to use, in a very narrow sense, the transdisciplinary and interdisciplinarity. Because if you preserve and promote the holistic nature of knowledge, the transdisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity is built in as a substantial component of the holistic nature of knowledge, which is much more expansive terminology. Now, one of the areas, I think, sustainability has been mentioned, and there can be no dispute about sustainability. But I would say that sustainability with inclusivity and societal transformation would be a good area to evaluate the contribution of the individual. Now, obviously, this is not exact science, and therefore evaluation or evolving criteria for evaluation are going to be very complex. But I think we can define the process through which we will have sufficient ways for filtering, for segregating, and trying to identify the best. I do believe that we need a two-tier mechanism. Most of the awards or most of the prizes which are given internationally have a two-tier mechanism. The two-tier mechanism can have that the first round is of a very large collegium, and the second is really the committee which chooses the recipient of the prize. But there are also other models where you have a very small group doing the first iteration and preparing a short list to be considered by a much wider collegium, something that the Nobel Prize committees do. So my suggestion once again is that the criterion must preserve and promote the holistic nature of knowledge.
Thank you very much. I think the concept of holistic is very parallel to the harmonies concept that was raised by the Chinese colleagues, another ancient civilization, the Indian one. I think the point about sustainability, I fully agree with what you said. The only corollary I would add is when we talk about sustainability, environmental sustainability has a certain very clearly defined based on the concept of ecological system, biological system. But then the social sustainability actually does include your concept of inclusion, participation, and all those aspects. And of course, economic sustainability has also very important. So sustainability covers all of those points. Next is Emil Constantinescu.
Sure, we accepted the goal, this prize, is promote models for society, but especially for the young generations, disappointed. What kind of models? Sure, first answer is personality with vision, but what kind of vision? In this ancient palace around us, we have some big pictures. Imagine a modern apocalypse. This is the same Hitchcock birds or horrors movies. This is an expression, majority of visions about the future, concentrated on disasters. Now need courage to promote a positive vision on future, based not on populism or demagogy, but based on confidence in creativity. In a field of politics, now we live in a big confusion between leaders and managers. Visible, especially in the case of political rulers. We have managers. You don't, in the recent crisis, we have managers. We don't have a visionary. And why? Because they oppose to populism, pragmatic solutions for immediate ends, but not a vision for the society of the future. It is the same in the field of science, because the extreme specialization in the field of science, and also encouraged by pragmatical results. In my opinion, we need to encourage persons able to imagine what is now non-imaginable. This was Tesla in his time. Because this is a creativity in a society of knowledge. And about Catalin's question, what is the prize, the money question, is for personal, for individuals, and for the project. In my opinion, it's necessary to be for the personality, for the individual, because we have many grants by European Union for the project. And especially creativity is individual, it's not for the teams. Because the science now is covered by teams. We now in a genius individual. It's not in collective, not for teams, not about the project, because it's for the future. It's a vision about non-imaginable. And especially, I support the idea of Basarab and Professor Lategan. Is a scale in the science. We have exceptional person in a field of science. But more important is a person which have the philosophy, capacity to have philosophy of the science, of entire science, in the concept of transdisciplinary. But more, we need a person with vision of philosophy of destiny, concentrated on destiny of humankind. It's very rare, this personality, and in my opinion, we must support this kind of person. Of personality.
Thank you. I think what you said about visionary thinkers is very close to also the holistic concept, because in order to be visionary, one has to have a holistic vision, it can't be a narrow vision. And I think we are converging on this, and there seems to be a consensus emerging. Next person is Schopper, Franz Schopper.
Well, 3 points, 2 minor ones and one more one. First point, I just wanted to reiterate itself, which has been said by other people also, but doubted by others. I think that price must have an impact in the public. Otherwise, I think there's wasting our time and our money. Second point, I hear very often now talk about genius and visions. Einstein has mentioned very often. I think visions, and to my mind, it means theories. Theories are fine and necessary, but they are completely useless unless somebody comes and verifies them, be it by experiment or by realizing them. So one is, the message which is given to the public is sometimes completely wrong. They're just sitting alone in your office and thinking deeply, solve all the problems. So I warn that to give too much emphasis on vision and theories gives the wrong impression. Third point, my major point. You, President, you said we have problems with values. Talking about how improving human society. To getting into discussion of values, I think would bring us in very deep waters, and I want to go into that. I had been involved in some discussion, for instance, what corruption means in Western countries in China. Very difficult. But you also said how to measure happiness. What's happiness? Thinking in practical terms, if I think back what has changed, what has made humanity happier during the last 10, 20 years, I think there are 2 things. One is better communication and high mobility. So I think there are no prices for that. I mean, if I think about that, of course, mobility, airplanes and information is laptops, handies, and what have you, internet and so on. I think not only in our developed countries, but even in developing countries, the humanity has profited enormously. Now in Africa, everybody has a handy, where no telephones existed, never will exist. No price exists, to my mind, for these developments. Of course, I'm running myself in big problem. To whom could such a price be given? It's very hard to identify persons. So I don't know a problem to that, but maybe someone is more clever here and look for a solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick comment on the question of values. I think the specific thing I was referring to is the hang-up we have that more material consumption makes us happier. This has been proven to be completely false, and in fact is the underlying motivator of greed and all the bad things. That many of the things we do which are not connected with material consumption, to be reading a good book or enjoying a sunset, or whatever it is, are in fact improving our happiness much more than running after another dollar or another food. So I think in that sense, the question I posed is, can this prize help to inspire or encourage the emergence of those values, particularly among younger people? The next person is Professor Hurdle.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I have the impression that we are making considerable progress today in the second session, especially, and I will refer to a few points and add an additional point very shortly, which concerns the group research. Not giving not the prize to one person, but to a group. First, I think all problems we have globally and locally and regionally, they are systemic problems. And for this reason, systemic problems can be only treated by a synthesis, which one of these is a footprint. Many people here already referred to it. I think the footprint is automatically the treatment of trends and interdisciplinary approaches. And for this reason we have footprint or network solutions immediately integrated different disciplines, and we have not anymore the question if it is given to social sciences or the natural sciences and so on. It should be an integrated approach, and this can be best done, I think, as Mr. Chairman, you said also, the social, economic, and ecological perspective. This integrated perspective gives us enough problems which could be subsidized by a prize. Let me give just what we have discussed in the last few days, the example of energy. Energy is a problem which touches everything, but you can find out the solution of energy problem in a certain area or in a certain sector. So energy could be intimately related to such a price in 1 year or in a few years accordingly to the progresses. So the other question is, should the prize be given to a person or a group? And here I find the concept of Bourbaki. Mathematicians know it very well. Bourbaki group was a French group. There was no name indicated. Nobody knew who were behind this group. And this was the most progressive group. Only insider knew who were participating in it. There were 7 people. And they had really contributed to the progress in mathematics, even in some cases much more than the fields person, which are also very important. The persons are certainly important. This is bound also to the question in how far young people can be integrated. If you have a group and you subsidize a group or give a prize, you have also different ages integrated in this group. And you can extract the potential of the young persons or from persons in this group which cannot be judged in advance to be progressive or not. So a group it has a self-selection, and you might, by subsidizing a group, let us say from 5 or 10 people, you may be sure that one of those will be really in the next generation the master of in this field. For this reason, I think the integration of the young people and different disciplines in a group and to give the prize to this group seem to be a very big difference to many prizes existing, especially the Nobel Prizes, for example. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for making a very persuasive case for group prizes. The next person is Dr. Banjo.
Thank you, Chairman. I really enjoyed all these morning sessions, and I think that it's not easy with 40 or 45 persons around the table to
make a dialogue that gives to some convergence. So I would like to express my support to some of the elements that I think that have converged, and some discrepancies with other ones. And that's my opinion. I think that the first one is that we want to talk about something transdisciplinary. I think that that's the transdisciplinary should not avoid some kind of focusing, not on the tools, in the different science, but on the ethics. And in that area, in my opinion, the sustainability is a good goal for a transdisciplinary exercise. And I am exactly of the same criteria of Eric, in the sense that for me, most of the problems of sustainability will be related with energy in the coming years, both in the economic area, in the ecological area, and even in the social area. So, for me, if the final agreement is focusing some kind of energy, I will fully endorse it. And third, we start this morning talking about genius, persons, talking about discovering and honoring an unrecognized genius. So that means a personal prize to somebody who did something important. As I said before in the first session, I was asking, we look somebody who did, who could do, or who is doing. Christopher Hill formulated better than me by saying our intention is rewarding, enabling, or inspiring. Rewarding is something that is did, that is done. Enabling is something that is doing, and inspiring is something that can be done. I feel that the more or less convergence of the table is on rewarding. We are still talking about prices. We are still talking about. I want to express my discrepancy. I want to express my discrepancy in this. I think that we cannot use all the potentiality of that price just to honor somebody, give somebody a personal prize without anything else. I think, and that's my personal view, that we should combine rewarding with enabling, in the sense that we should find somebody who has made some threshold on the intellectual area, on the political area, somewhere, but that will continue to. And part of the award should be on the way conditioned to some use of this for the real aims of the prize. We can call still prize, but will be a prize on the way, let's say, completed with some kind of grant to support a project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think Ulrich has a comment to make on that.
Sorry, privilege of sitting at the names. It is Mr. Youssef's idea, it is Harris's wish that the prize be used not just to reward somebody, but it is really to take them, to integrate them, to take them and get them to work for the betterment of humanity. And it is also Harris's wish to establish a type of institute corporation where these people that we find, that we recognize, are then brought together and are then promoted to work for the betterment of human society. So that's really the idea behind it. It is really not to give a lump sum or one shot off and go off somewhere. It is really to get them and to get them to work towards the betterment of human society as general. That is the idea behind it. At least that's what we have in mind. That's what Hadas's ambition is behind it. So that, just to answer the question, it is truly to inspire. It is truly to inspire and get these people to really work.
Thank you, that's very valuable guidance. The next person is here. Sorry, Mrs. Fair.
Thank you. I can see a priori there is no three dimension between reward, inspire, or enable. This would be more for the rules of the game, because anyway, if you are giving a prize, you are inspiring people to receive it, you are enabling, and you are rewarding for something that they achieve. But I believe this idea of enabling people to do and to cooperate is very good. And I think that we should, in Brazil, we used to give some prizes for social transformation idea. And I'm just going to say that we try to make a criteria. It's not easy, an easy task, but we always have two ways. Some people can apply directly, others can be indicated for different kinds of institutions and associations. And they used to make a system of punctuation, like, is the idea understandable? And you get some points for that. Is it, how is the commitment of the people, the person with its own idea? Does they make effort to implement it or not? What's his history of life? How, if he receives the prize, how he's going to put in operation the idea, and everything is being punctuated. And then, is it replicable? Is it really endure during the time? How does it connect people or not? How can I communicate this to other person? And at the end, it results in a table that you can try to be as fair as you can, because usually there are many social projects, many social transformations. And I believe that is a fair way to put many different persons in projects and compare them with different items that you would like to see in the objective of the prize. That's it.
Thank you very much. I think it's very nice to know that there are others who have already taken part, and we don't have to reinvent a lot of these processes to make it as fair and transparent as possible. Next speaker is Norman Crew.
Thank you. We are speaking about criteria, so I want to give 7 what I think would be important. But before going through, let me explain why I thought that is like that. An almost ideal candidate, in my opinion, if he was alive, would be Dennis Gabor. I said almost perfect because he was recognized by the Nobel Prize for the invention of